Columbus and the Vietnam War, next.
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, transforming to become a digital provider of auto, home, and business insurance. And for nearly 100 years, committed to the people and neighborhoods of Central Ohio. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey Cavalieri. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. CODA. Keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Moortime Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. Women in Philanthropy at Ohio State, changing lives by giving together. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.
The following contains graphic language. Viewer discretion is advised.
We're here at the Mott's Military Museum because we're talking about the connections between Columbus and the Vietnam War and how that time in history shaped who we are today.
Vietnam, the epic documentary about the war by Ken Burns and Lynn Novick, inspired us to explore our own ties to the war. And we've worked with the Columbus Dispatch to tell these stories. Look for special coverage in the Dispatch and on their website.
And all of our stories are posted online, so log on to columbusneighborhoods.org if you miss any or want to watch them again.
Today, commercial cargo planes fly from all over the world out of Rickenbacker International Airport, just south of Columbus. But during the Vietnam War, it was Lockbourne Air Force Base, and it was going full tilt 24 hours a day.
Lockbourne Air Force Base at the time was actually a small city. We had a theater, a commissary, a big BX.
During the 1960s, there were more than 18,000 personnel and dependents assigned here combined.
Lockbourne was quickly constructed after America's entry in the Second World War. After the war, it was the home of the storied Tuskegee Airmen. And then it was part of the Strategic Air Command's Cold War mission to deliver nuclear weapons.
Our primary mission was Strategic Air Command. Peace is our profession, and we used to kid war is just a hobby.
Sprawling Bien Hoa Air Base, target for Viet Cong rockets, which blast both this.
The conflict in Vietnam drastically changed base operations.
The forces that were based here from time to time would be activated and would be assigned in theater in parts of Southeast Asia.
The 317th Tactical Airlift Wing flew a plane that was especially useful in Vietnam, so crews trained and based in Lockbourne were deployed.
The C-130 could land in areas where you couldn't get other aircraft, and oftentimes very, very short fields, unimproved fields that oftentimes were dirt or gravel.
Later in the war, these cargo planes were heavily weaponized and given a new mission. And the training took place at Lockbourne Air Force Base.
The Ho Chi Minh Trail, the enemy's lifeline to the war in South Vietnam and Cambodia. The great majority of your missions will be flown in darkness. And every one of you in the crew contributes to the accuracy of every shot as well as to the safety of every mission. The aircraft flies a left-turn orbit in a 30-degree bank at a constant altitude with the specified true airspeed around an aim point.
South Vietnamese air crews were brought to Lockbourne in Columbus for training on these deadly airships that earned a sinister nickname.
The name Big Spooky came about as a result of the sound, the very eerie sound that the aircraft would make in the distance, and the amount of rounds that were being fired created almost a very spooky, a very eerie whistling sound.
I'm going back now to refuel an F-4C fighter. Come on.
I'll show you how we do it.
For years, Lockbourne had been the home base of an aerial refueling wing, a mission that was, well, indispensable in Vietnam.
We were kind of like a corner gas station. The fighters and bombers always knew there was somebody in Cherry Anchor, somebody in Plum Anchor, somebody in Purple Anchor, and they would just go and get gas and then go back into the fight. We would get deployed sometimes in groups of 3 to go to Thailand, usually to Utapao for a 90-day deployment. And then in the summer of 1972, it was either May or June, we were deployed for 6 months. And at that point, we took 13 jets and 15 aircrew and deployed to an airport right outside of Bangkok, Thailand. A lot of people say I'd rather carry bombs than fly one. And KC-135 basically weighs about 108,000 pounds, but it'll hold 200,000 pounds of fuel. So that's as much as three railroad tank cars. That airplane has ashtrays in it, and we couldn't smoke on the ground, but as soon as we took off and got the gear up, we all lit up a cigarette for years. And that seems rather dumb today, doesn't it? At the time, we had a pilot, co-pilot, and navigator. All 3 of those were officers, and the boom operator was enlisted. But when we were doing air refueling, he went in the back. He would lie down on his stomach and open a window so he could look straight down. The receiver would come up, and he would tell the receiver up 4, back 5, left 5, or whatever, and he could actually, he had a stick just like the stick in a fighter airplane, and he could fly the boom wherever he wanted to.
The second major way in which...
As American involvement in the war was winding down, Albers and others with the refueling wing at Lockbourne played a vital role in 2 significant air operations.
In December 1972, negotiations at the Paris Peace Conference were once more deadlocked. Hopes to bring the POWs home by Christmas faded. The situation demanded strong positive action toward North Vietnam. Action came on December 18, 1972. Operation codename Linebacker 2. Hundreds of aircraft flew 729 sorties against 34 North Vietnamese key complexes.
Linebacker 2 came in December of 1972, and it was only a month later that the peace agreements were signed and prepared the way for our crew members that were being held prisoner in Vietnam to be released.
More than 40 years later, the KC-135 is still flying refueling missions from the same airfield in Columbus. In fact, Albers flew the same plane in Vietnam and in the Gulf War 19 years later.
And it seems quite dangerous, but we had a remarkable safety record. I recently read in 12 years that tankers were involved in Vietnam, they flew 813,000 missions, and there were only 4 fatal accidents. Pilots often get all the glory, but without the people that put fuel in the planes and the maintainers of the planes and the cooks and the truck drivers and the bus drivers and the schedulers and computer operators and personnel, and it takes a whole team to get the job done.
When veterans came home from the Vietnam War, they faced a lot of challenges, and it was the first time the public heard about PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder.
Some of them were able to find help with PTSD back then, and a lot of vets didn't show signs of it for many years.
Some vets are experiencing PTSD when they retire and no longer have the distractions of work or raising a family. As they look back at their life, they have to deal with the thoughts and memories they had previously buried. Here's one veteran's journey from despair to hope.
I went through almost a year of training to become an infantry officer. I felt that this was the way, one of the ways that I could prove that I was a man. I was a platoon commander, and then for a while over there, for about 2 months, I was a company commander. I commanded about 250 Marines for a while. Most of that time I was in the bush, as we called it. I was sleeping on the ground with my unit. The stresses over there were many. It was a hot, humid, alien, shadowy environment, so alien that we would refer to America as the world. And the common question was, what did you do back in the world? While I was commanding, we lost 5 of my Marines. and those were very difficult losses. I know their names and I know where to go to find them on the wall. We had one of our Navy medical corpsmen wander out of the perimeter one night and was shot trying to get back in, and those were my Marines that did that. And so I had to be there on the scene, of course, and process that. Hostile fire was one thing, but to have it happen as an accident or friendly fire, that is more difficult to deal with. I came across a scene once where an American truck had run over a Vietnamese child, and you never forget that either. I came back very hardened. I came back very unemotional, with a clenched jaw. What was inside me was so horrible that I didn't want to share all of that with people I cared about deeply. So I was really guarded. After Vietnam, I chose, of course, to get on with my life. That was the old phrase back then. Using the GI Bill of Rights, I was able to afford a continuing education, and then got into my career, which was in the United Methodist Ministry. I became a clergyman. And as I have told others, Vietnam caught up with me. Insomnia, anxiety, anger, depression, alcohol abuse, those were all part of my life for a long time, but I had, as I said, somewhat successfully managed them. And then when some of the props started being removed from my life, I realized that I needed help, and that's when the symptoms really exploded. Well, now, some of the early triggers from Vietnam were with me: loud noises, the smell of diesel fuel, those kinds of things, which are pretty common to all veterans, and especially Vietnam veterans. And as I said, the alcohol abuse was something that reared its ugly head, and so I had to deal with that, as well as the depression, the anxiety, and the insomnia, and a sense of hopelessness, quite honestly. My counselor, a very gifted man, a veteran, taught me the difference between Vietnam thinking and today thinking. And when an event occurred, he would say, "Okay, Russ, you're in Vietnam thinking. That's not where you need to be. You need to be in today thinking, because Vietnam, even though it still lingers with you in your memory, it's no longer relevant." And just that little exercise helped me a lot. I am one who will always support the VA when there's criticism. I know that there are glitches, and I know that the VA is not what it needs to be in some places, and I know it'll always have its critics. But you're hearing from this veteran that the VA has been extremely helpful to me for the last 20 years, 25 years, and probably saved my life. I'm what they call an outpost leader of an organization called Point Man International Ministries. And it's an organization that started out with Vietnam veterans. It's a spiritually based program, Veterans Helping Veterans. And so it's a little bit unlike the VA and other support groups, because we talk about spiritual matters, even spiritual wounding like grief and guilt and meaninglessness. See, I'm a male, and I'm a man who was brought up to have a stiff upper lip and be self-reliant and self-sufficient. And of course in the Marine Corps it's all macho, and at least it was back then. And so to ask for help was one of the hardest things that I could have thought of. And then somebody told me back then that Perhaps the greatest act of courage is to ask for help and to admit that you need someone else.
As Vietnam veterans retire, some are experiencing PTSD. Without work, there's more time for reflection and fewer distractions to keep memories away. All veterans with PTSD can get help, even Vietnam veterans who are just now experiencing it. Call this number and you'll be directed to someone who is trained in dealing with military-related issues that can lead to crisis.
The Vietnam War saw the highest proportion of blacks to ever serve in an American war. Charlene Brown had a lunchtime conversation with 2 African-American vets to discuss their service and their lasting impressions of their time in Vietnam.
Today we're at B&K Smokehouse on East Main Street, where a whole slab of ribs tops the menu. This is home-cooked comfort food at its finest, smoked for hours out back. There's beef brisket, pulled pork, and even turkey ribs served with a special sweet sauce. Sides include green beans, coleslaw and potato salad, but check out the collard greens too. This looks delicious.
Yeah, good.
I'm meeting Gary Harp and Connie Boykin for lunch. Both are Vietnam veterans. Was there something that you were missing the taste of while you were over there that you were looking forward to having again when you came back?
Everything. I ate sea rations. And every now and then we get a hot meal out the field, but it was like either had a bunch of ants in it or whatever. Yeah, it was.
Did they taste good?
Yeah. You just close your eyes and eat.
Yeah. Those were World War II sea rations.
So they had been around
They
for
had
a
been
while.
around, years. Them stacked up in warehouses and stuff like that. So they was finally getting rid of it in Vietnam.
Where did you guys serve?
I served in Saigon, Headquarters Company, 90th Replacement Battalion.
And you were there for how long?
I was there for a year.
Okay. And Gary, were you in the same place? You were in Saigon also?
No, I was in a place called Bearcat.
Now, where's that?
It's about 15 miles south of Saigon. It was the home of the 1st Infantry Division. And I was sent to infantry. And that means that I would be sent out in helicopters to different areas and be gone for a week or 2 and then come back in and stay a couple of days and then go back out. That's what I did. When I landed in Vietnam, I was 18 years, 16 days old, and I was a mama's boy, so it was unreal at first to me because I never dealt with anything like this.
So you were on the front lines. You were one of the people most likely to get shot at and least likely to return.
I was what they call point man.
This guy right here, you know, he's my hero because the kind of things that he had to endure.
There was times when our own artillery would drop the artillery on top of us. And there would be times when those jet aircraft were trying to hit the Viet Cong, they would be shooting at us. And there would be times when a Viet Cong would get up in the middle of 2 companies and fire a shot and then go back down the tunnel and then we go to firing at each other. So there was a lot of friendly fire for us over there.
War is hell.
Yes.
Okay, war is, you know, it's the closest thing to hell. Then when we came back and everybody was protesting.
African Americans and Latinos were the most likely to get sent over there.
Vietnam soldier was the first really integrated army. You were supposed to be rewarded on your merit, you see, but that didn't happen.
Did you feel that too, Gary, where you were?
In my situation, being in the infantry, you have to depend on each other here. So we didn't have that as much. When we would come back out of the field and go to a club, we would see that, yes ma'am. But when we're out in the field, you don't see it. It wouldn't make sense. If you got the person next to you with a rifle and you're all in a foxhole together, whether you green, purple, or turquoise, you're not gonna be thinking about racism. You'll be thinking about your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staying
and
alive.
making it back home, yes ma'am. Mm-hmm. So after being in Vietnam and I came back, I went to Fort Hood, Texas, and I was standing in a chow line. and it's about maybe 75 to 100 guys, and I was about halfway there. And these 4 white soldiers came up to me and said, "Nigger, get your butt back to the end of the line. You know you'll eat before white people." That was so hard for me mentally. And you talking about PTSD, that's the PTSD syndrome, to go fight and kill and for your country and then come back to United States at Fort Hood, Texas on U.S. soil, and they tell you that, they on an Army base. Now I can understand it outside because things was tough back in those days, but to be on an Army base and go through that, so I'm done with it. I wanted to make sure that was in my thing, so.
Have you been back to Vietnam? Would you go?
I would. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Okay. And have you been? Would you want to go?
I haven't left anything over in Vietnam, man. But I just want to say, you know, we've been talking about the black experience. I want to say, you know, that if it wasn't for a lot of good white people, I wouldn't be here today, okay? There's a bunch of people, and I'm saying a bunch, saved me from a lot of bad things, and they were gentlemen of another color, but they were all Americans, okay? So I'm cool with that.
I'm just honored and glad to be able to sit here and share a meal with you, and to hear a little bit about your experiences. I know we could sit here for hours and barely scratch the surface, but thank you both. Because the Vietnam War was so controversial, there are many stories that never got told because people didn't feel comfortable speaking out.
This is one of those stories. It's not about veterans, but about foster parents, a Columbus couple who discreetly took in nearly 20 Vietnamese children who fled the country during and after the war.
Theirs was a commitment not of years, but of decades, constantly advocating for their foster children.
We went on vacation to Florida. I took our church magazine with us. They were advertising for foster parents for teenagers. We had a big house and we had 2 kids who just moved on, and I thought we could do that. So I talked to John about it, and
I said she was crazy.
But he gave in at the end.
Yes, I
And
came
you're
around.
And you're not sorry.
I came around. The newsletter we got was from Lutheran Social Services, describing a program called the Unaccompanied Minor Refugee Program. And they would have caseworkers and people that would support foster parents. We became foster parents shortly after that, and along with about 10 other families, supported the kids as they came from refugee camps in Thailand. Gwen, our first kid, came in 1980, October.
The culture things were kind of overwhelming for the children. Many of them had been in refugee camp for quite a while, which is a rough go.
Quoc is the only one who was not a boat person. He walked across Thailand to
through
escape.
the jungle.
All by himself.
He traveled at night and slept hidden away during the day.
He was about 16 at that time.
The kids in Vietnam were from different, what would you say?
Social classes.
Social classes, yeah. And so Gwen was from farmer fisher class. Other kids that came later were from the city. There was a lot of interpretation that was not what we expected, not just the words, it was distinctions between people. When we first took Gwen to school in Canal Winchester, they said, we can't take him. And I said, you don't know the law, you have to take him. And there were resources available from the government to provide ESL, English as a Second Language. After Gwen came and we took other kids there, they said, yeah, we know what we have to do. And so it became easier. He was the pioneer. Gwen's graduation from high school. I think this is the first time we had a pig roast. One of the things in Vietnam that's done on celebrations of special events is to roast a pig. I think that's Gwen tending the fire.
It is Gwen.
Yeah.
At that time, that was a community that was very all white and not engaged in multicultural activities, and they didn't have experiences with people of other situations.
I think Quinn was called Chinaman. And he tried to explain he was from Vietnam, and they didn't know Vietnam, you know, even though we'd just been there in a war.
Many of these families sacrificed great amounts to send their children out. And at first, we were only taking male refugees, but as time went on, there were girls that were being sent too.
On and fell in love.
And finally got married.
Yeah.
My mother at one time said, you should have written a book about this. I said, Mom, we didn't have time to write anything down except the chores to do that week, you know. Mary was teaching school full-time. She was pursuing her master's degree at the time. I was working full-time at AT&T, but we felt very called to do this.
I believe it's fair to say that we gained more than we gave.
Yeah, I think so.
We gained more than we gave because our own biological children have really hooked into being part of the World family.
And they consider them brothers.
Thanks for being with us.
And remember, you can catch all of our episodes on columbusneighborhoods.org.
Plus, see our stories on the WOSU mobile app. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We'll see you back here next week on Columbus Neighborhoods.
Though I left Vietnam, it never will leave
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, transforming to become a digital provider of auto, home, and business insurance. And for nearly 100 years, committed to the people and neighborhoods of Central Ohio. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey Cavalieri. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. CODA keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Moortime Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. Women in Philanthropy at Ohio State, changing lives by giving together. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.